Hi friends, welcome back to playing tribute to Ace Attorney Dual Destinies, where we are on the Cosmic Turnabout, the fourth case of this particular game. And, I don't know, I just feel like there's a lot of loose ends going on. The last part was really short. We're kind of getting, down on, Director Cosmos because he was lying, but he's going to be, defending himself, of course. I don't know. There just seems to be a lot going on and like behind the scenes with this case, what with Apollo and then learning about Simon Blackwell's sister and all that. It just doesn't seem like it's about to end. There's still so much happening. So I guess we're going to continue the trial and see what we can do about Director Cosmos, because he has been lying to us this entire time. So let's see if we can get a truthful testimony out of him. We're still in court. We're still in the trial. And as you can see, I have not stopped from the last part, because I'm here where we left off last time. So I'm just going to jump right in. Director Cosmos, a new possibility has been presented by the defense. They are claiming that you were this third person. Forgive me. I'm so sorry. So the great pioneer of space development is revealed to be just another fabulous girl. I only have one question for you, Shall I send you off quickly or very quickly? Should I send you off quickly or very quickly? Yeah! The evidence doesn't lie, Director Cosmos, so don't try to talk your way out of this. Fine, I'll tell the truth. It's all just as you say, Mr. Wright. It's true that I was there in the boarding lounge. I got there before Detective Arm, and when she arrived, she fired warning shots at me. I was afraid people would mistake me for the killer, so I escaped to the control room. And then went past the elevators and all the way around the boarding lounge 1 again. Came up behind Detective Arm and pretended to be the second on the scene. What a troublesome old man you are with such convoluted deeds and thoughts. I see. So then, are you still insisting that you did not kill the victim? Of course I am! When I arrived at the lounge alone, I saw the true killer. The great Yuri Cosmos was a history-making witness. Hold it! Now hold on just one moment. We just proved a few minutes ago that the third person that Mr. Starbuck and Miss R. Blackwell saw was you. No, it wasn't me. I saw the person as well. If I were the killer, why would I lie to cover up Starbuck? If I were the killer, why would I lie to cover for Starbuck? I would just leave him to take the fall. That is an excellent point. But it's not true. You weren't covering for him, though. Well, it makes sense if he told those lies to cover for Mr. Starbuck. Still, a lie is a lie, Athena. So Director Cosmos claims he's not the culprit, but where's the proof? Ah! I just remembered. I have an alibi. Miss Blackwell said that she saw the killer at 10 a.m., correct? Yes, and? Well, I was on the 4th floor helping with the evacuation effort. Ask any member of the staff you'd like. They'll corroborate me. The director starts fibbing to the court for once. I confirm that he has an alibi for the time specified. So you're claiming that Miss Blackwell saw the killer commit the crime first at 10, and that you arrived at the lounge after that. Yes, and I believe the person I saw is the same person that Miss Blackwell saw, although it was pitch black, so it was more of a shadowy figure and less of a person. And I couldn't actually see their face, but it was definitely the silhouette of an earthling. As opposed to an alien, I guess. As long as he has an alibi, we can't very well claim Director Cosmos as the killer. No, we can't. Then again, maybe we don't need to yet. I wonder if he was really covering for Mr. Starbuck. Your Honor, the defense moves to have the director testify about the person he saw. Well, Director Cosmos, your testimony, please. And let's not lie this time. what I really witnessed. As I tried to enter the lounge, the true killer inside fired a gun at me. Oh? I hid to avoid getting shot. But when I tried to get another look, they had vanished into thin air. I was near the elevator side door and, well, the launch pad 1 door. And the control room door should have been shut tight. So you were shot at by the killer as well, and then they disappeared. Yes, I thought, though luckily no harm came to my glorious body. Unfortunately, the bullet hit Taryn's oxygen tank. I know because I heard a pang, and that must have been the sound of the tank being ruptured. Wait, but I thought that the bullet hit his metal. That was Detective Arm's bullet, remember? Oh, right. What a mess this is turning into. So, let's see. Director Cosmos is claiming that when he found Mr. Taryn and his killer, the culprit shot a 10 caliber bullet at him. Right, but it actually hit Mr. Taryn's oxygen tank and ruptured it. And then the killer disappeared and the director went to the boarding lounge. Why did it hit the tank? I don't know, I feel like that's super out of the way. When Detective Arm caught up and fired those warning shots at him. Judging by his medal... Oh, judging by his medal, it looks like one of them almost took him out, too. Good summary, but that doesn't explain where our mystery killer went. Director Cosmos, I was wondering if you could elaborate on when the figure disappeared. I'm ashamed to admit I tried to hide myself when I was shot at, but when I peeped back into the lounge, the real killer was gone. I rushed into the lounge straight away to investigate, but what I found was Taryn with a knife in his chest and Starbuck out cold on the floor. So we have a culprit who vanished from the scene that had no escape route. Vanished without a trace. It's truly like one of the great mysteries of the cosmos.
Silence!
A riddle of the ages indeed, but I'd rather know how a fibbing leech such as you can be lauded as great. A great man is always misunderstood in his own time. But he must remain true to himself, even if those around him don't understand. Wow, that might be the first true statement he said all day. But how do you suppose this person managed to vanish so suddenly? Simple. Because it was Spaceboy himself. When he was spotted by the director and Aura, he quickly feigned unconsciousness. I could certainly take all the mystery out of the idea of a vanishing culprit. I want to raise an objection, but I don't have any counter-evidence. Director Cosmos, when you saw this person, did you also see Mr. Starbuck on the floor? No, because it was dark as a black hole in there. I didn't see Starbuck until the other person vanished and I entered the room. It wasn't exactly helpful. I'm prepared to accept your surrender, right, Dono? I can't find any holes in this testimony, but I can't give up. Mr. Wright, why don't you let me help? Huh? While the director was giving his testimony, I detected a cacophony of discord. Which means he's hiding his true feelings from us, huh? This just might help us find out what happened to our vanished killer. That'd be great, Athena. Let's see what you can do with him. You got it, boss. I wouldn't want to miss this chance to delve into a great mind. Yuri Cosmos, prepare to hand over the secrets of your heart to me. Alright, let's analyze some emotions, shall we? Tried to enter the lounge. True killer inside fired a gun at me. I had to avoid getting shot. When I tried to get another look, they had vanished into thin air. I was near the elevator side door. And, well, the launch pad 1 door. And the control room door should have been shut tight to the killer. Okay, why are you upset about this?
Got it!
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you seem to be afraid of the launchpad door. The great Yuri Cosmos afraid? And what basis do you have for that outlandish accusation? Whether I have any basis or not, you seem quite distressed by it. I'm most certainly not. Director Cosmos, there's something about the launchpad door you're not telling us, isn't there? Wow, he's speechless. Looks like you hit the nail on the head, boss. It's working, boss. One more punch and it'll be a knockout. There seems to be one more emotion that is at odds with his testimony. Go get him. Okay, back in the Matrix it is. Time to pinpoint our way to victory. Okay. Oh, that's new. The anger is new. That wasn't there before. I mean, it's understandable. But that's the only thing that's new.
Got it!
Nope, I don't got it. Clearly not. The music is still going. I don't know, but I think maybe we made a mistake, Mr. Wright. Sorry. Hid to avoid getting shot. Vanished. So that's the one we pinpointed. The fact that there's no emotion here is weird, right? I can do a lack of emotion too, right? That's the thing? Like, why aren't you surprised? Yeah, okay. You must have thought it was very strange that the killer vanished into thin air. I did! That kind of thing just doesn't happen, usually. And yet, at the time, you barely registered any shock at the occurrence. What? Why are you... I can only think of one reason as to why you weren't surprised by the killer's vanishing act. You must have had a good idea of where they went, isn't that right? What? No, of course not. That's preposterous. Did they go out the door that he's afraid of? Only I can enter the control room. And the area beyond that launchpad door was filled with smoke, making it impassable. And as for the southern door, I was standing right there. So there was nowhere for the killer to run to. Maybe, or maybe not. You went into the room to check on Mr. Starbuck and Mr. Terran, yes? What if the culprit took that opportunity to silently slip out through the southern door? I highly doubt it. As you recall, right after I entered the lounge, Detective Arm came rushing toward us herself via the southern hallway. Anyone trying to escape through there would have been caught by her. And yet the director wasn't surprised the killer vanished. So you're absolutely sure there was no escape route for the culprit to use? I'll just input those two pieces of data and... Yes! Just what I wanted to see. Why are you still telling lies? Presto changeo, less discord. It looks like we're on the right track. Thanks, Athena. Now to make sense of what we've learned. Director Cosmos wasn't surprised that the culprit suddenly vanished from the lounge, which points to the possibility that he knew where the killer had escaped to. Furthermore, talking about the door to the launchpad made him uneasy. In other words, he's probably hiding something about the launchpad 1 door. When we put these two pieces together, only one solution to this puzzle comes to mind. Director Cosmos, did the real killer escape through here?
Take that!
The culprit went through the launchpad 1 door to escape, didn't they? Yes. I mean, no. Disaster to the starboard! We're going to crash into an asteroid! A master tactician you are not. But the area beyond that door was filled with smoke, wasn't it? True, but this is still the only logical answer there is. If we can just figure out what the director is hiding about Launchpad 1 door, we should be able to iron out the logical inconsistencies. But that door requires fingerprint recognition. Only Starbuck, Terran, and I have access. I don't see how the killer could have opened that security lock, do you? That's an easy one. The killer was right there in the boarding lounge, meaning there's a way he could have easily gotten past the security lock. Come to think of it, we did examine the prints of the fingerprint recognition device. I suppose the killer used this person's fingerprints to get past the security lock. Oh shoot, wait. Whose was it? Was it Terran's or Starbucks? It was Starbucks, wasn't it? I think it was Starbucks.
Take that!
That's... Mr. Starbuck was lying unconscious there in the boarding lounge. Anybody could have easily gotten past the security lock by using Mr. Starbuck's prints. And actually, Mr. Starbuck's prints are exactly what we found on the device's screen. Looks like he does have something to hide about the Launchpad 1 door. And I'm betting it's got something to do with the culprit's escape route. But I don't have enough information to see the whole picture yet. You know, something just occurred to me. Would you like to hear it? Huh? Yes, by all means. There's a security camera in boarding lounge 1. Right, the one that recorded the victim and the defendant. What about it, Your Honor? If that true culprit escaped into the Launchpad 1 corridor, then that might be recorded on the security footage as well. And then the mystery would be solved. What do you think of my logic? We're speechless, Your Honor. I hope you didn't strain your faculties too much without your baldness. I beg your pardon? Look, if we play the security footage beyond this point... Oh my, the footage cuts off! The camera was running on backup power, but apparently the power cables were damaged. Most likely by the after effects of the explosion. There's no footage after this, be it of criminals or space aliens. And I thought it was such a good idea, too. Just because your grandchild is watching it from the gallery doesn't mean you should try to show off too much, Grandpa Waldus. Prosecutor Blackwell, how did you know about my grandchild? I think his grandchild just learned a little about the harshness of the adult world. Setting aside the issue of grandchildren, I'd like to have the witness continue. Director Cosmos, could you tell us more about when you entered the lounge? If I must. Alright, let's find some more things. Head to avoid. That's when Detective Arm appeared. And then the detective shot at me. So you see the killer could have only escaped to the launch pad. Right? That's what we're trying to say. All of those emotions make sense. Makes sense. Again, we're emotionless here. The killer could have only escaped the launch pad, right? So, why were you denying it before? What do you think about his emotional responses? Actually, my cat is really sick, you know? What? Oh, I am very sorry to hear that. And on top of that, my dog just doesn't seem to want to play with me. Why are you telling me all this now? Just humor me, okay? Now, when you heard about my cat, and then about my dog, which story made you feel sadder? The story about your cat, of course. It's only natural. Exactly, that would be the natural reaction. There's nothing natural about the director's reactions. I think how each individual reaction changes across the whole testimony will be the key. Sounds unnaturally complicated, but that somehow doesn't surprise me. Okay, how they change. To lounge, okay. Shock, that makes sense. Should we be concerned about how there's no more shock? I've noticed it doesn't actually punish me. Director Cosmos, why were you so surprised when Detective Arm found you, and again when she fired? Oh, okay, I was saying that the emotion was lesser. Isn't that a bit unnatural? Sadly, even great men such as myself have ordinary human feelings. Our bodies are bound by the forces of gravity and emotions. Even a great man such as myself experiences surprise on occasion. Yes, I'm sure you do. But my real point is not the fact that you were surprised, but rather what you were surprised by. Pardon me. First, you were surprised when Detective Arm found you in the lounge. And just after that, you were, of course, again surprised when she shot at you. But considering what you were surprised about, a strange phenomenon occurs here. Director Cosmos, what is strange about your surprise reaction is the fact that you were... No, because surprised twice, because she came and then she shot. More surprised when... Oh yeah, more surprised when Arm came. Yeah, I was saying that it was lesser later. Sure, you were surprised when Detective Arm shot at you. But the surprise you felt when she found you in the lounge was much greater. Yeah. The fact that you were more surprised by simply being found than being shot at suggests to me that you were conflicted about whether it was... whatever it was that you were doing there. The enemy has acquired a new weapon. Commence Operation Hide Under Your Desk. Please tell me I finally sunk his battleship. Almost. Boss, I'm getting less Discord now. That must mean he really is hiding something about that launchpad door. And whatever he's hiding most likely has something to do with the killer's escape. I wonder what it could be. If he was doing something suspicious around that door, maybe we can spot some change between before he came to the room and after. Detective Fulbright gave us a photo taken after the crime. Let's run a comparison. Oh, here we go. We finally do it. It was at the end of like 2 episodes ago. But I hope you've been paying attention. Did you spot the difference? Let's see. This is the footage of the door before Director Cosmos arrived. And this is how the door looked after the director entered the lounge. Hey, look at that. There is a change. Something is definitely different. Director Cosmos. What is it? What have you two been up to over there? Finding the answer to what you were doing when Detective Arm found you, that's what. And that answer lies clearly in this footage. All we have to do is compare the photo that was taken during the investigation. Don't be ridiculous. If you really do have an answer, you would have pointed it out already. He's asking for it. This is what changed directly after the incident.
Take that!
The answer is this knob. That's... Your Honor, please take a look at this footage. Let's see. Take a look at the knob next to the launchpad door. As you can see, it's horizontal. Yes, it is, isn't it? However, when we investigated the scene of the crime yesterday, the knob was vertical. And what does that mean? It means that sometime before the director arrived, and after, someone turned this knob. After the scene was discovered, you were the only one who could have turned the knob. Come on now, Director Cosmos, let's hear what you have to say. What were you trying to do by turning that knob by the door? Yeah! Fine, I admit it. You're right, I did turn that knob. That knob is a safety lock meant to keep the launch pad in place. I was afraid there would be more explosions. So I wanted to move the launch pad away. You wanted to do what? Hey, didn't Ponko tell us something about how they prepare for launch? They said that once the launch pad's fully assembled, it's moved to the launch site. But the safety lock in the boarding lounge has to be disengaged first. Guess that clears up what that knob is for. Oh, so if the killer escaped into the Launchpad 1 corridor, maybe they were transported along with the Launchpad to the launch site? I don't think so. The Launchpad 1 corridor was filled with smoke. I don't think they could have escaped through that corridor. So then where did the killer escape to? I guess there are still some things we have to uncover. Director Cosmos, I request that you tell us about moving the launch pad in more detail. Fine. But listen carefully, for I'm about to give history-making testimony. So you keep saying, dude. Oh, we're still in the mood matrix. Okay, that's right. 30% Discord. Had no choice but to disengage the safety lock. Why are you happy about that? Feared there might be more explosions, so I had to cut the launch pad loose. Maybe the only escape the killer had was through the launch pad 1. But that area was a sea of smoke. I found it. Where on earth could they have gone? Okay, why is he angry here, and why is he happy here?
Got it!
I had no choice but to disengage the safety lock. You make it sound like you were reluctant to do so, and yet when you did it, you felt some joy, as if you were very pleased with yourself. How did you do it? How do you know everything as if you were there? Pretty impressive, isn't it? This is the power of analytical psychology. So care to explain why you felt joy when you disengaged the safety lock? When I think back on the facts we've discovered up to this point, I have to believe that you were trying to fulfill some hidden agenda. How do you know about that, too? Because I'm more or less a pro at guessing. But you have no proof that I had a hidden agenda, and even if I did, I would never ever tell you, so there. I know they say people regress as they grow older, but you, sir, take the cake. And how could you doubt a man with such great intensity, intelligence, and integrity?
Silence!
You have something to say, Blackwell? Welcome to the party. You, a man of integrity. Don't make me laugh. Prosecutor Blackwell? What came over him all of a sudden? You've spouted nothing but falsities since you stepped up to the stand. You're not the kind of man that will be glorified in the annals of history. Not for greatness, anyway. Unless you consider greatest barefaced liar an honor. Greatest barefaced liar an honor. Liar? His words bite harder than his blade. You moved to Launchpad 1 after the explosions. My, how naive you are. You fail to realize how even the friends themselves have betrayed you. You know, just a thought, but modern English can be your friend. And here's a thought for you. Immediately following the bombing, Launchpad 1 was on the boarding lounge 1 side. The police confirmed this on the scene. What? Liar! So that means the director didn't move the launchpad? Curse my judgment for calling history's greatest liar to the witness stand. Let us leave him to indulge in his lies and war games to his heart's content. Liar!
Objection!
But it doesn't make sense. You can't deny that someone turned that knob. And once the safety lock was released, I'm sure the pad must have went somewhere. If we chase down the truth of this issue, we just might find where the killer escaped to. Yeah! We're sure it must have went somewhere. We just might find out. Your arguments are nothing but conjecture, bluffing, and wishful thinking. Stop chasing your fantasies and see reality for what it really is. Or are you not man enough to, boy? Talk about hitting below the belt. Youngins these days. I don't understand it. I'm sure Director Cosmos must have moved the launch pad. The knob was definitely turned after he came to the lounge, but the launch pad is right where it's supposed to be. Ugh. Wait a minute, maybe I have it all backwards. What if the director turned the knob not to move the launch pad away, but to bring it back to where it was supposed to be? What are you blathering about? What if the launch pad was at the launch site before the incident? And then after the incident, Director Cosmos moved it back to his usual spot. All he had to do was turn the knob to call the launch pad back. And it would be right where the police found it. Yeah! No, it's sighing again. You made him sigh like Mr. Starbuck. Was what I said really that off base? It pains me to have to explain how wrong your own logic is to you. However, our great liar turned the knob only after he discovered the crime scene. Indeed, the pad existed beyond the lounge when our Astro Wanderers made their escape. The fact that it's been recorded for posterity on film was film. Oh, right. So to reiterate, stop chasing your fantasies and see reality for what it is, boy. Get a grip, Mr. Wright. And focus. We know the launch pad must have been moved, but our deductions and actual facts of the case are in direct contradiction to each other. Well, maybe the two astronauts never actually boarded the rocket. This footage could be fake, taken with body doubles after the incident or something. On second thought, that's too far-fetched, even for me. Never actually boarded the rocket. Hey, wait a minute. Maybe, just maybe. Huh? Prosecutor Blackwell, what if I told you that the two astronauts never set foot inside the launch pad area, but instead went into another place? I love how the music transitioned actually rather smoothly. And what if then, when the director moved Launchpad 1 back, it was not from the launch site, but from another place? What would you say then? Cut the existential bull, or I'll cut you. Mr. Wright, you explain yourself at once. I know I'm right. It was all the other way around from the beginning. Very well, Your Honor, let me explain. Director Cosmos' reason for moving Launchpad 1 was... At first I thought it was to trap the killer, but it's gonna move to another place, so I'm just gonna do that. Because he wanted to switch it with some other place. I'm sorry, but did you say switch it? What could you possibly have switched the Launchpad with? Oh, you'd be surprised, Your Honor. All it takes is a little thinking outside the box, and the answer becomes clear as day. This is what was switched with Launchpad 1. Da-da-da-da! Launchpad 1 was switched with the Space Museum. In the past, the Space Museum used to be Launchpad number 2. It has all the same features as Launchpad 1 and can even be moved to the launch site, meaning the Space Museum and Launchpad 1 can also be switched with each other. You can't mean... The rocket the astronauts boarded was not the one in Launchpad 1. It was the one in the Space Museum. That answers the question of carrying the body, too. So it would just be the regular elevator that's there in the Space Museum. And yet, it's the only explanation that accounts for every riddle and inconsistency. This is how the Space Center was just before the incident. I see, Launchpad 1 and Space Museum have already switched places. That's right. And with the two switched like this, the astronauts entered the Space Museum from Boarding Lounge 1. This allowed the true killer to enter Launchpad 1 from Boarding Lounge 2. And set the bomb on the rocket. Come to think of it, the door to the Space Museum from Boarding Lounge 2. Welcome, welcome. The Space Museum is open to the public every day of the year from 9 to 7. Exactly. Anyone can pass through the doors of the Space Museum. There is no fingerprint recognition system on that door. In other words, with the two launch pads switched like that, someone other than Mr. Starbuck could have easily planted that bomb. After setting the bomb on the rocket, the culprit snuck into Boarding Lounge 1 and waited there concealed, in order to kill Mr. Terran when the two astronauts emerged from the Space Museum. Premeditated. Recall that Miss Blackwell, Mr. Starbuck, and the director all saw a suspicious figure, who, we can suppose, after killing Mr. Terran, made their escape into the Space Museum. After that, Director Cosmos switched the two launch pads back, without realizing the killer was inside the Space Museum. But didn't we say that he was afraid of the space of that area? Oh, because it was filled with smoke, though. The killer then left the Space Museum and made a clean getaway. Right, I see you know how to handle a sword and handle it well. Perhaps I should call you Swordmaster Bluff. I'm a seasoned warrior who has cut down many a prosecutor.
Silence!
But unless you can prove your theory, it's no better than a rusty sword. That's right, you have no proof. I switched the launch pads. Somebody needs a better anger management counselor. If the launch pads really were switched, there might be a record of it somewhere. At this point... I see it! Oh my gosh! I've been wondering whether there would be something in this picture to show that it was a different place, because I had the suspicion of the launchpad switches a while ago, and I kept forgetting to look at this picture and see, like, I wonder if there's anything in the hallway that would prove one way or the other. There is. I see it. At this point, the Launchpad 1 and the Space Museum were switched with each other. So the corridor beyond the doors should be the one that belongs to the Space Museum. Let's see. This is an image of the Launchpad 1 corridor. See anything different when we compare it to the security footage? That's what I wanted to do. The number on the floor. Well, what do you know? It looks like we have proof after all, Prosecutor Blackwell. What if this is just another bluff? Oh, don't worry, it's all right here. Right in this footage. Proof that beyond this door is the corridor to the Space Museum. Very well then, answer this for me if you want. What's in this footage that proves the corridor belongs in the Space Museum? Good, I'm glad I didn't remember to look at this earlier, since then it can be right in this time. There's a 1 on the floor of the Launchpad 1 corridor. But take a look at the floor of the corridor in the security footage. You see the number on the floor behind the astronauts? Doesn't look like a 1, does it? That's because what you see is actually part of a 2. What? Why is it 2 and not a 1? That's because the corridor you see is the one to the Space Museum. Ugh. And so that means the corridor in this footage was not filled with smoke. That's right, because the explosion didn't occur in the Space Museum. The explosion occurred in Launchpad 1, on the side opposite the Space Museum. And now that we know the two astronauts escaped from the Space Museum, the mystery from that previous trial of how they got down the ladder is cleared up. Mr. Terran, carrying Mr. Starbuck, simply took the elevator from the upper level down to the middle level. Just incredible. The two launch pads were actually switched. But you'd think someone would have noticed an event of this magnitude. Everyone was down in the basement shelter when the launch pads were swapped back. There's no way anyone could have known what was happening on the surface. Why do you keep lying, dude? Bye-bye. No more lies, Director Cosmos. It's high time. You told us the truth. My honor, my glory, everything is slipping away. Time to deploy my ultimate weapon. Galactic engine, ignition. What? It's gone haywire. It won't stop. My stars, my glory. No, not that way. Bailiff, on your steed, and after that, witness. Now I'm picturing like a scooter race, scooter chase. I see we managed to retrieve you before you came to any bodily harm. Director Cosmos, do you admit you switched the launch pads? I admit it's true. I switched launch pad 1 for the Space Museum. It's good to hear words I can believe for a change. Before you do, Your Honor, 2 things. First, we don't know if Mr. Terran had prior knowledge of the switch. As for Mr. Starbuck, he was unaware of his surroundings thanks to his medication. Either way, Mr. Terran would have realized the instant he stepped into the Space Museum that it had to be switched with Launchpad 1. That it had been switched with Launchpad 1. So my first question is, if the Space Museum was perfectly fine, why did Mr. Terran feel the need to put on such a dramatic display? As for my second question, I'd like Director Cosmos to tell us why he switched the 2 launch pads to begin with. Please, I can't. I exercise my right to remain silent. But I will say my hands were tied. I was only doing what I could to keep my men from getting caught in that blast. The director is terrified. He must have one heck of a reason for not wanting to explain why. Probably not a good time to try to pry it out of him, huh? Excuse me, but would you mind if I picked up my stars? Without my badge of rank, I'm nothing. I don't see why not. Bailiff helped the director retrieve his stars. It appears a possibility of culprits other than the defendant has presented itself. Mr. Starbuck, is there anything you wish to say? I don't get it. Don't get it? What don't you get? Director, why did you do all that? From the very beginning, you never meant for the launch to go ahead, did you? You tricked us. Mr. Starbuck. Starbuck, my boy, I'm sorry. I can't tell you the reasons why, but I had to do it to protect the Space Center. Director, will I ever get the chance to go into space again? Yes, of course. I won't rest until it happens. I will get you into space again, my boy. And the dream is still alive.
Silence!
You're not going into space, Starbuck. But prison, I won't have it any other way. Why are you so hung up on him? Yes, I accept that the launch pads really were switched. And if there were a third person at the scene, I suppose they could have escaped. But I have yet to see proof of this third person's escape via the Space Museum. Oh, that's a good point. He's right. I don't have any proof. Starbuck, you spill everything you know. Me? Where did you get those bombs? Tell me now. If you don't, my blade shall feast on your blood. Yeah! If I'm going to die, I want to die in space. I have to do something. Solomon Starbuck, prepare yourself. Now, you know violence isn't the answer, Prosecutor Blackwell. That's an annoyingly cheerful laugh. It can be none other than... Fulbright. Howdy. Champion of righteousness, Bobby Fulbright here. In justice we trust. Detective Fulbright? Sorry to keep you waiting, Mr. Lawyer. I hope I'm not too late. I don't believe we had an appointment. I tried to hurry, but I ended up helping a little old lady cross the street. And then I had to break up a cat fight. I tell you, Justice sure has a full-time job. Is it a fight between cats, or... Why are you here again? Because the defendant isn't the culprit, and I came to make sure that justice is served. I don't have any idea what you're talking about. Fulbright. I always thought you were a bit touched in the head. But have you finally succumbed? Nope, but it looks like you've succumbed to the phantom of yours. Open your eyes and let evidence of justice uncloud your judgment. What evidence? Come to think of it, he did say something about finding some evidence. Thanks, you two. I feel a lot better now that I've been able to get it off my chest. Going to work extra hard to find that perfect piece of evidence for you. I didn't think he was serious, though. So, what is it, Detective? Is something that will prove Mr. Starbuck innocent? It is indeed! Have a look at this! What is that? Oh, it's the lighter. What's this, a lighter? That's right, a lighter thought to have been used by the culprit, no less. The Space Museum's cleaning robot picked it up. It has the victim Clay Terran's blood, along with his killer's fingerprints on it. What? We have fingerprints? Wait. That's huge. Why do I have a bad feeling about this? It never ends so cleanly like this. Detective Fulbright, can I assume that the fingerprints don't belong to the defendant? You bet! Mr. Starbuck is totally innocent. This is it. This is just what I needed. So whose fingerprints are on it? Your Honor! This is decisive evidence that supports the defense's earlier claim. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright. With pleasure, Your Honor. Recall where this lighter was found. Based on that, we can extrapolate that after the killer murdered Mr. Terran, they escaped with the lighter in hand to the Space Museum. It was found at the Space Museum. Yeah. Huh. Where they dropped it. The switching of the two launch pads occurred. And then finally the killer left through the boarding lounge too and made their escape. Meanwhile, Mr. Starbuck was found in the boarding lounge 1 after the murder, a fact that Director Cosmos had testified to. Therefore, Mr. Starbuck couldn't have possibly been the one to drop the lighter.
Silence.
Oh, but the defendant had free reign of the area until Director Cosmos appeared. he not have dropped the lighter at the Space Museum during that span of time?
Objection!
You'd like that to be true, wouldn't you? But Director Cosmos testified that right after he saw the mysterious figure with the lighter, he went into the lounge and found the unconscious Mr. Starbuck. In other words, Mr. Starbuck wouldn't have had time to double back to the museum. No, Prosecutor Blackwell, this lighter could only have been dropped by the real killer. Most importantly, Mr. Starbuck's fingerprints were nowhere to be found on this lighter. I think you understand what this means, don't you? Whose fingerprints is on the lighter? This piece of evidence unequivocally proves that Mr. Starbuck wasn't the culprit. But whose fingerprints are on it? This does indeed appear to have decisive evidence that proves the defense's claims. As for the remote switch that was found in Mr. Starbuck's pocket, we can assume it was planted by the killer on the unconscious Mr. Starbuck. But no, there must be some mistake. Frankly, Prosecutor Blackwell, I've been worried about you. You've been chasing that phantom for 7 whole years. I understand your urgency because tomorrow...
Silence!
Is he set to die tomorrow? What's happening? Fulbright, you promised never to speak of that. Huh? Tomorrow? What about tomorrow? Given the body of evidence, I think it's safe to say the defendant is innocent. In light of the fact that it was impossible for him to have committed the crime. A few unanswered questions remain, so I look forward to seeing what you two uncover. But for now, this court finds the defendant, Solomon Starbuck, not guilty! Yay! Celebrations. Yeah. Happiness and joy. Excitement. Yes, we did it, Mr. Wright! Looks like we pulled it off somehow, huh? With some help from Detective Fulbright. Mr. Wright, Miss Sykes, thank you. And please thank Apollo for me, too. You're all the best. Oh, I wish we could tell Apollo about Mr. Starbuck's verdict right now. Yeah, me too. But that's going to have to wait. Now the verdict has been reached, I'd like to bring today's trial to a close. Court is adjourned. Okay.
Objection!
Blackwell? It's too late to object, isn't it? It simply isn't possible. Something's wrong. Prosecutor Blackwell, are you dissatisfied with the verdict? Fulbright, what were the results of the fingerprint analysis for the lighter? Huh? The results! Well, I was in a hurry, you see, and then there was that cat fight, and, well... I kind of got carried away when I heard the prints were Mr. Starbuck, so... You have yet to read it. Oh. Prosecutor Blackwell, can you read out who the prints belong to? Upon thorough analysis, the fingerprints were found to belong to Athena Sykes. So says the report. What? What? Huh? But me? Order, I say! Order! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the conclusion of this game. Miss Sykes, tell me you have an explanation for this. We just finished proving that this lighter could only belong to the killer. Still, finding your prints on it can only lead us to one grave conclusion. I don't know how they got on there, but I know I'm not the culprit. I know I'm not the culprit. That this can't be happening. We built our argument piece by piece, and I don't think any of our reasoning was faulty. So how could it have led to this? Yeah! What have I done? Please forgive me. I'm sorry. Order! Order! Detective Fulbright, stop your crap. What in the world is happening here? It's like the world's gone mad. Order! Order! I will have order. You will not have order. Confusion spiraled into utter chaos. After all we'd fought for, the truth had turned cruelly on us to accuse Athena of the crimes. Somewhere, somehow, everything had gone terribly wrong. We had stumbled over the edge of reason and got into the jaws of twisted darkness. Oh, ladies and gentlemen. It is here where we end that particular case. And cut. And action. Episode 4, The Cosmic Turnabout. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at the conclusion of the game. The final episode is going to bring together everything here. So I guess, based on the fact that we got more evidence, we're going to be using the same evidence. We're going to have to still figure out what happened. But before that, I don't really know what to say about this episode. There's a lot because of the fact that it kind of leaves unanswered questions. It doesn't seem like it's very complete. So it's hard to really judge this particular case because it's still technically going. And everything with Apollo and everything with Athena, it just kind of like leads into the next one. So, I mean, I like space and stuff and it's all interesting and stuff, but I feel like motive still isn't even known. I don't know. I don't think that I can say much about whether I liked this case or, how I felt about this case yet, because it's not over yet. We've still got the finale. And, oh boy, a lot of things, a lot of unanswered questions, a lot of confusion, a lot of backstories. As you can see, there's Black Quill with his flowing locks there. There's a lot left to uncover. And because of this, I'm going to just leave it until we do. Because, like I said, whenever I play these games that I've only played once, I know a lot about the overarching plot. So yes, I knew that Athena was about to be excused. Every single moment it said, "Oh, the fingerprints don't belong to the defendant." I was like, "Oh man, this is it. They're going to be Athena's." And so I know all of that, and I know all of that kind of detail. And reasoning for a lot of the stuff that's been happening that we're like, oh, what's going on? Why is this a certain way? I don't know. Again, I don't know the little bits and pieces, but I know the finale. And I will be talking to you guys about that whenever we get through this one. Now, this episode, because it's a piece of the other episode, it's actually short. I believe there are only 3 parts, 2 or 3 parts of this one. So it's going to be very quick. Then again, those parts could be very long. It could be like 2.5-hour parts. I don't know about that yet. So we've yet to see that. I don't know why they don't just like combine it together, but I guess they are trying to do 5 cases. And technically, our client was found not guilty. So I guess now it is a 5th case because now we're going to have to be defending Athena. I can only imagine we're going to be defending Athena. So stay tuned because, well, I mean, it's true to form for the defense attorney to be accused of a crime, right? It happened in the first game. Even Miles Edgeworth was accused of a crime in his game. I think the only person who hasn't been accused of a crime was Apollo. He's the only one who stands without any fault right now, or without any accusations at the very least. Nobody's really guilty. We're gonna have to figure out what's going on with this whole Athena thing because, yikes, that came out of nowhere. But yeah, so I will leave it there, and we'll come back to this in a few days for the upload. So stay tuned for episode 5, Turnabout for tomorrow, case 5, and everything, all those loose ends to finally be wrapped up and tied up. Talk to you guys then.